Making the most of Google Maps is our tech topic today. And we're going to talk about the layout and icons of the Google Maps app when you use it primarily on your smartphone. You can use it on some other devices. We'll talk briefly about that. We're going to take a look at the search and explore function because that's what a lot of people use. We're going to take a look at different views you can use in the map if you haven't tried them out. They're available in quite a few good options. We'll talk about the U tab, which exists in maps. You may never have tapped that. And we'll take a look at profile options. And obviously, a lot of people use maps for directions, and we'll take a look at that when we talk about search and explore. Now, there's a lot of things you can do in Google Maps. You can do a lot of these things in Apple Maps as well, just that Google Maps has been doing it for so long. They have such a rich history of information. They have a lot of accurate, valid checking that goes on. So what can you do in Google Maps? Well, you can search around you, where if you have GPS enabled, which usually is the case on your Maps application, your smartphone knows where you are, and you can just do a quick search around you. You can save your home and work address so that if you ever want to get directions home, it's really easy to do that. If you want to get directions to work, you can do that. You can add stops and search along a route so that if you're getting directions to go somewhere, say, gee, I'd really like to stop at a restaurant, along the way and see what's around after what period of time, or just finding an ATM machine or anything like that. You can download offline maps and save them on your device so that if you don't have an internet connection, you can still use maps for navigation because your GPS function will work without cellular or Wi-Fi. Your GPS location function does not require Wi-Fi or cellular to work. You get a timeline and history of where you've been, get directions, you can create and share lists with people. You can customize your route preferences. You can share your real-time location. You can get public transit information. It's really great. I've taken it and I've tried to figure out how to take a subway and a bus and to get to places, and it really, really is incredibly accurate in terms of what it provides for you almost everywhere in the world you go. Now, and that's not all it does. It does a lot more. We're going to try and get through about a half hour of these things today. Now, you may wonder where you can use Google Maps. On what devices can you use it on? Well, it's included with Android. If you have a Samsung phone, for example, the Maps feature is the Google Maps. They just may call it Maps. On Apple, it's a little bit different. On Apple, Apple calls Apple Maps Maps. So you have to download Google Maps from the iPhone App Store. It's free, doesn't cost anything. You also can download the map application for your iPad from the App Store, but not all iPads have cellular antennas, and so it may not be quite as usable, but it's a nice big screen if you've got it. And if on Wi-Fi, it'll do a pretty good job of picking up your location. And then desktops and laptops, whether you're using Windows or whether you're using Macs, you always would use Maps in a web browser. There is not a Maps application for Google Maps that you download. So you use it in a web browser. And of course, Google recommends you use it in Chrome. If you're logged into your Google account, that will help you a little bit, but it'll work in other web browsers as well. Now, there's one major difference between Apple and Android. And I noticed this because I was trying it out on my Android device and I was looking at it, and it's in what's called the share button. And the share button looks different on Android than it does on Apple. On Apple, it's a rectangle with an arrow pointing out. On Android, it's three dots that show you sharing things out to other people. So just keep that in mind that the share button is going to look different whether you're using Apple Maps on Android or whether you're using it on Apple, because you can share a map or share a location. And it's really good because say you want to go to a coffee shop and there's, 5,000 coffee shops with the same name. You want to make sure somebody meets you at the right one. You can share that location to somebody in, say, WhatsApp or as a text message. And we'll take a look at how we do that when we go through this. Okay, so the next thing is your Google account. When you use your Google account and you are logged into Maps with your Google account, it'll save places for you. You can also save your timeline if it's enabled. You can say where you've gone and what you've done so that you can save a history if you're interested. You don't have to. And it is used to collect data for advertising by Google. Google is in the data collection business, and they will offer things to you based on the types of places you are and the types of things you go visit. If you go to a lot of restaurants, if you go to a lot of coffee shops, if you go to a lot of retail stores, if you go to a lot of furniture stores, they may affect the type of advertising you see when you are using Google. So just keep that in mind that part of being able to use it for free means that it's collecting data. So let's take a look. So we now see my iPhone screen. I've got some widgets up here and I've got a lot of icon navigations here. There's Google Maps, which you can see on the iPhone is called Google Maps, and Maps is Apple's version of Maps. We're going to talk about Google Maps today. So I'm going to tap Google Maps and open it up. It will remember the last thing you did. So I'm here looking at a history of maps that I've saved. I'm going to use the back arrow here, and then I get a list of navigation icons at the bottom. I'm going to tap Explore. That's the primary thing that you are using when you use Explore. It's going to show the last map I looked at, but if I want to get my new location, this button right here will center the map where I am located right now, where I'm home. So it centers it at home, and Seal Beach Leisure World is my neighborhood. That's where I live. So this is generally what people see when they're looking at. But if you don't see this, just go back anywhere you are, hit tap Explore, and tap the arrow navigation that'll plant you at your current location. So let's take a look at a few things around here. Here is my profile on Google. It tells me that I'm logged in with my Google account. Here is a camera that I can use to activate some things. We may take a look at that if we have time. I can talk in the search box here if I want to, and I can type in the search box. So I can just type a search function for anything, but they do have some hints. Work, shopping, restaurants, and I can swipe along here and I can say gas, coffee, apparel, groceries, etc. We'll take a look at that in a few minutes. The weather is shown here at 60 degrees, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. And we see some things at the bottom. There's a little line here that lets me slide this up. I'll show you that in a minute, but that's what it's for. It's a little slider function. Generally, when you see lines, you see a slider function. That means you can slide up and down. When you see three dots, that usually means there's more there. When you see a funny icon like this, it means there's something there, but we may not know what it is. This is directions, this icon right here, if you want to get directions from where you are to somewhere else. There's also a tab for you, and I have a tab for contribute and business. I have my training business, Bobology, listed as a business on Google, and so I can manage my business listing from Google Maps because I'm logged in with this account, and it's a free service. If you know anybody that has a business or a place or an organization or a club or something like that, they can list it in Google Maps. And contribute means I can contribute information about places to Google. I do a lot of reviews, I take photos, I share them, and Google has a program for what is called Google Guides that gives you the ability to contribute information about places. So not only is Google providing information, but they have a whole community of users that are providing a tremendous amount of information as well. So let me pull up my list of topics. So we've covered the app icons here, and let's do a quick search. I'm going to tap search, and I have some addresses that come up here. There's my business. There's my home address. There's my work address. I use it as a mail center. And I have those in my Google account, but I can just type search. And let's say I want to find coffee nearby here. So it'll recommend coffee shops, coffee. It'll have some businesses here. And I can just tap on coffee shops and it'll find coffee shops nearby me. You can see here's results that it found. And I can slide this up and down by putting my finger on this little line here. And I can slide this down and I can see things here. A couple places nearby. I can pinch and zoom with my fingers, with two fingers. If you place two fingers on your screen, you can pinch to zoom in and you can pinch to zoom out. So it's listing all these places. Now, these numbers are reviews by people like myself that are Google guides that review places. So the Starbucks here is a nice one locally. There's Pavilions, they have coffee. There's Pete's Coffee, which is where I got my coffee this morning. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this, and I'm just going to tap this Pete's Coffee listing, and it brings up information about Pete's Coffee. Now, here's where iPhone and Android different. Here's where I can share this to somebody. You would just see a different icon on Android. And I'm going to tap the share button, and I can share this place by tapping share this place, and it brings up messages and all the share functions I've got here to be able to use it on my device. So I was in Barranquilla, Colombia, and a lot of the friends that I have there, are listed. They come up first. So if I want to get directions to Pete's, I can tap directions and it'll show me various options. It says my location at the top. I just let it take that to Pete's Coffee. If I want to reverse the location, I can click this set of arrows and that'll reverse it from Pete's to me. I can tap the arrow here, the three dots, and I can set options. I can set a reminder when to leave. I can share directions even if I want to get to this place. And so I'm not going to do all those
The
things.
46 is a local bus that goes downtown.
I have a choice. I can choose drive, and it tells me how far to drive, public transportation, walk, bicycle, ride share, or for a long trip, flying. So it gives me drive here, and I can choose whether I want to set various options here. I can choose that little slider function. Let me show you that again. It's this little slider function right here. And if I choose that, I can say I want to avoid toll roads, highways, ferries, prefer high occupancy vehicle lanes, fuel efficient vehicles, show vehicle icon while navigating, and other things like that. So you have the ability to set all kinds of options on your trip. If you want to, you can save a route. You can save directions by tapping save, and it will save this set of directions. So if you think, gee, I'd like to know a hiking route or a walking route or other things like that, and you can add stops. Now, one thing you may have noticed on the map, if you were paying attention, is that I'm going to Pete's, but Starbucks shows up here. Well, Google advertises. Google advertises and they show that you can utilize a square icon in order to find a business that is advertised on Google Maps. It's a different type of activity that is done, And so what generally happens is that somebody that is not a um, place, but they want to show up, they can advertise. Whenever you see a square icon on Google Maps, it is somebody that is paid for an ad. Now, if I want to get out of this, I don't need the directions. I pretty much know the way there. I can tap the X down here, and I can tap the X in the search box, and it will get me back to my Explore button here. So that's a little bit. Now you can see Sunnyside Cafe, they've got a square icon. This is Kohl's, they've got a square icon. Lucky Feet has a square icon. So Google is selling advertising for people to feature their business on Google Maps. So just be aware of that because I'm not looking for Lucky Feet, but there's a little icon here that shows up anyway, just because I'm looking at the current area here. And if I expand out and I can use my fingers to scroll through to other areas, if I go down to say Seal Beach downtown, it'll show me some other things. Coffee bean and tea leaf. Here's Seal Beach. It shows me something. So a non-advertising icon is a little icon like this that's frequently visited and popular. Seal Beach Municipal Pier, popular. But if I want to see what this looks like, I can tap on this and I will see a few other things here. One of the things I'll see is this little photo with a rotating view. This is a street view that was taken by Google that is available, and I can swipe my finger across my screen and get a 360-degree view of this location from where the map pin put me. And so I have a better understanding. So if you're looking for a new place and you're not sure where it is, one of the things you can do is get a location there. They also have other things sometimes like an immersive view, which is a Google 3D map view. They have other photos that people have contributed. They have reviews of places so you can see what Google Guides have reviewed it as and get a perspective on that. And you can see all kinds of information about a place if you're thinking, gee, what do people think about this? A lot of people still go to Yelp because Yelp is very popular, but you can go to a lot of other places. And Google has a great review system for finding different things. So we've looked at a couple of things. We've looked at search, and you can just tap the microphone. And if I want to say, tap grocery stores, it'll find grocery stores for me. So I don't have to even type in if I don't want to. This camera function gives me the ability to look around wherever I am located and see various places. I'm turning my camera, and this is just a demo that shows you that you can actually search with your camera, and Maps will use your camera, and you can just turn it. So if you're ever someplace and you're saying, gee, I wonder if there's a place I can get some coffee or ATM machine around, or get an idea of a surrounding area, or you're visiting someplace or touring something, you can just turn your use that search function, and Google will do a visual search all around you wherever you are. So these are some things. So I went over the icons, I went over search, I went over travel directions a little bit, and I do want to share this icon right here. This little icon right here is the map view. There is a default view. However, you can change your view to satellite or terrain. So if I change it to satellite, you can see it's going to show a satellite view. It's not real time. It's historical satellite images from satellite images that Google has collected from various services. And I can look at a terrain view and see what things look like more from a terrain standpoint. I don't have a lot of hills or valleys where I am and fairly flat. I can also change the map details and show public transit systems or traffic, live traffic. You can see the green and the yellow for traffic situations. For cycling, there it shows bike paths. Street view will show me the ability to get a street view whenever I want to. I can see information about air quality. I can see other information about wildfires and even a 3D view, which gives me the ability to view the map in 3D if I want to. So if I want to view it in 3D, I can pinch in on that. And let's see if I can get the satellite here, view in 3D. Okay. Now it's going to be default to terrain. It'll give you the ability to get things and view buildings and other things in a more 3D perspective if you want to, and try that out. So it's another way to view, and you can zoom in very close. You can zoom out with maps. It gives you, again, all types of information that you may want. I am going to mention one thing here at the bottom. I'm going to go back to my view, change it to default, turn 3D off, and we're going to go to this function U. U gives you the ability to create lists of places. It's really, really convenient because if you want to save a list of places that you want to say, whenever you view someplace on a map, say explore, and I want to say Petco here. If I want to, I can scroll on the bottom here and I can see this button called save. If I tap save, it will ask me if I want to create a new list or if I want to save it in an existing list. So I have a lot of lists that I've created, so as I like to save a lot of places, but I'm going to save it in a new list and I'll call it local pet stores. So I'm going to just create this list. So now I have a list of local pet stores. I can add places to it if I find other pet stores, other things I want to look at. If I ever want to get to that list again, I go to the U function here, and there is my list of local pet stores. I can make it public or I can share it if I want to. So I save a lot of lists. Now, one of the interesting things about lists is that you can see your timeline of where you've gone if you decide to save it. And you can see where you've been today or yesterday or the day before and get an idea of where you visited. If you ever forget, gee, where was that place I wanted to visit? You also can save your own maps. This was really, really valuable for me because in 2009, my wife and I took a road trip in Norway, and it saved all the places that we traveled along the map. And it was really, really useful to be able to say, oh, here's where we started, here's where we drove the first day, the second day, the third day, things we saw along the way. And it was a great way to save a memory of a trip. That we may get into that when we go into Maps 2.0 and how to view that. And you've got all kinds of collections that you can work with in Google Maps all over the place. We covered a lot of things, but there are obviously a lot of different things you can do with Google Maps no matter where you go. And I'm just going to center myself here in my current location. A great way to make sure you don't miss the person, or you make sure you're both going to the right place, or even two or three people, find the location on Google Maps and share it with people so that they know exactly where it is. And when you share it, rather than taking a picture, a screenshot of the map and sending it to them, but if you share the map to them, they can navigate right from that link. And that link will open up the location on Google Maps right away. So thanks everybody. And